Hello there, motherfuckers, and it is time for your Raw review. I have never been more bored with a Raw in a long time. I've know for weeks and weeks I've been saying that Raw's been on the fucking shit fest marathon. But holy cow, this show was extra boring. Um, just completely just trash. Like, you had one good match throughout the whole show, and that was it. And the rest was completely filler. I have never seen this before. There's no reason to look forward to SummerSlam. There was nothing on the show to even promote SummerSlam, really. And let me explain this. Very, very minor promotion for the show. We started off with Heyman and Cena, and they're arguing on the mic. Cena's trying to be extra inspirational. He's trying to be really aggressive, getting ready for his match with Brock Lesnar. Only one problem: no Lesnar, no Lesnar to be found. Where was he? I don't get it. He's scheduled to be there in 3 weeks to wrestle Cena. You think maybe he'd show up? Holy cow. I have never seen this before. Big match, I understand he doesn't want to show up. He's there for certain dates. But, man, oh man, right before the pay-per-view, he doesn't even show up for it. Are you fucking kidding me? This made no sense whatsoever to not have him there right before the fucking pay-per-view is going to start. That there makes no earthly sense whatsoever. So he's arguing with his manager. There's no reason to get excited for this. How are you supposed to get pumped for a match when the other guy ain't even there? That just blew my mind right there. Why couldn't Lesnar, they're paying him not to be there? Makes no sense. I couldn't even believe it. So you have an argument, and then Cesaro comes out. Cesaro, the guy who has nothing to do with this feud, comes out. They had a pretty good match, though, I will admit. All complaints aside, it was a good match. Cena ended up winning. FU off the top. I'm not going to complain about Cena winning because we all think that Cesaro was going to win. If you thought he was going to win, then you really need to get back on your medication. The people complaining about the burial of Cesaro here and all that from Cena, give me a fucking break. I am sick to death of hearing people complain and whine all the time about Cena. Do I like Cena? No, I don't. I don't like him at all. Do I like when he beats people constantly? No, I don't. But I am done here on YouTube bitching and complaining about Cena, constantly reiterating shit I said 3 years ago about Cena. Those days are numbered. I'm not going to be repetitive here on this channel and keep on repeating the same things about John Cena. I don't care if, you love hearing me say this about Cena sucks. It's getting tiring. I'm getting a headache hearing myself talk about Cena ruining the company and, ruining their image and all that. We all know that. Why does it have to be repeated? So it was a good match. We have to put up with Cena winning. But if we're going to be wrestling fans and watch this, we have to at least say that it's good when it is good. It was a good match. It's just, it's a shame that Cena always has to win. Anyway, then you had Paige and AJ. They were doing a promo in the ring. And this right here was boring. Boring as fuck. I don't even get what this was supposed to be about. It was an argument, but it was like half-assed. Like it barely even felt like an argument at all. It just felt like they were really reading off like cue cards. AJ was trying to add a bit of charisma to this, but Paige obviously lacks in the charisma and acting department. Motherfuckers doesn't know how to act. You know, she's good at being pale, but that's about it. You know, standing there with a blank look on her face. AJ is trying to do things with facial expressions, and I can appreciate that. She, you know, trying to develop her character, trying to, you know, she does do a good job with promos most of the time. For a diva, this is rare, and I can appreciate that. But, you know, this right here, there was nothing. You know, this looks like it could be a pretty big feud, but the feud needs to have good promos. They gotta act it out. You know, it's a story, and you know, Paige is the problem here, from what I'm seeing. Paige really needs to start getting a bit better on the mic. She seems uncomfortable in front of a large audience. From what I saw in NXT, she was doing a better job on the mic. And, you know, she's not doing a very good job here on the main roster. Really not doing a good job at all. And the story is just falling apart. No good story to be had here. The match could be better at SummerSlam. As I said, it was slightly enjoyable in Battleground. Maybe one of the few good things on that show, are decent or passable things. There were botches during that match. They have to fix that. You know, they have to try harder to promo the match. You know, if this is going to be a big feud, you know, this is not Trish and Lita. This ain't Trish and Victoria. They're not going to have, you know, a great classic feud if they continue on like this. Then you had Triple H cutting a promo. And this right here, I had a big problem with. It's Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, this whole entire storyline they're trying to do with the whole arrest angle. You know, Brie Bella getting Stephanie McMahon arrested. This is not coming off as I think they wanted to. They want to make it a big controversial shock crash TV moment. And I know we all asked for this Attitude Era style stuff you don't expect, big surprises. And I have to say, it wasn't surprising at all. It was very boring last week. It wasn't really anything to get excited about, but you could see they're really trying to push this angle to the extreme. We're supposed to just, you know, stand there and act like this is exciting, like this is a classic, like Attitude Era style moment. And it is not. If people are trying to make it out like that, I see people here in the YWC trying to say this is like, you know, one of these classic moments, but I don't care. I don't care, motherfuckers. I don't care one bit about this. You know, why am I supposed to like this? You know, is this entertaining? No. Is it funny? No, it's nothing. There's nothing entertaining at all about it. None cutting edge. Jericho comes out and trying to, you know, live off the past glories. He starts coming out making lame jokes, singing the Cops theme song. And I didn't find this funny at all. Maybe some goofballs out there with, you know, a very, very stupid sense of humor. And trust me, there's a lot of retarded people out there in the YWC that probably found this funny. Then he tries to go back to the Attitude Era, trying to call Stephanie McMahon, you know, a hoe and all that. And this was just fucking, just getting annoying. Jericho was being very annoying during this segment. His voice was really grating on my fucking nerves. To be quite honest, I was getting annoyed by Jericho, and I wanted him to please shut the hell up. You know, he was just really grating on my nerves. It just like reaches a point where I can't stand these promos half the time. Jericho was being extremely, extremely irritating during this promo. They were trying too hard to be funny here, and they failed miserably. Seth Rollins comes out from behind, hits him with the briefcase. Triple H, reacting to all of this, also just, no realistic emotion in it at all. Just getting all, trying to act like he's getting bent out of shape, but failing miserably at it. Nothing is believable on this show. All of it looks like a fucking cartoon from start to finish. I swear to fucking God. Everything on here, this show so far, poorly acted, very uninspired. No one even seems into this at all. Everybody seems half asleep on this night. Then it was Dolph Ziggler and the Usos defeating The Miz and Ryback. So, this here was nothing really to write home about. Not a bad match, but just thrown out there for no reason. Just a random fucking tag match. Nothing, good at all. This Miz Ziggler angle. It's, here's the thing here about Dolph Ziggler. A talented guy, but I've already explained it. They just beat his integrity into the fucking ground. There is no way Dolph Ziggler could recover and become, the star he was over a year ago. He had the whole world in his hands, over a year ago, cashing in Money in the Bank, and then they shitted all over him just because he had a concussion. Just because the man injured himself trying to put his body on the line, they punished the guy. And he's never going to get back to that level of popularity. And they're trying, here and there to try to give him pushes. But I'm looking at this as even really a push. The guy was a world champ. Now he's just the #1 contender for the IC title. This is almost an insult to the guy. I don't even see why they even continue on with him. It looks foolish. He was a world champion. Now they're going to bring him back down to mid-Carter title status. It makes no sense, and he's probably not going to even win. They just gave the belt to The Miz. Are they really going to have Ziggler beat him for the belt? No, they're not. So, a nonsensical feud. There's not even any promos being cut during this. The Miz is supposed to have this whole Hollywood gimmick, but he's not even cutting promos. So what is the point? He has a character and he's not even utilizing it. He's just standing there like a goofball with sunglasses, wrestling matches with sunglasses on. This is the best they can do for The Miz. Change his Titantron video and put glasses on him, and that's it. That's the best they got. That is fucking pathetic. How about making a genuine effort? You bring a guy back, you try to alter his character, and then you half-ass. Come on, put some effort into it. It's a show. It's supposed to, can we at least get a full-on effort here? They really try to cut as many corners as possible. And, they act like they could do as they please. Like everyone is satisfied here. No. This is just, it's pathetic. There's no effort here to build any characters or any, there's no effort here to build any interesting feuds. For God's sakes, they start a feud and they don't even have the guy there that was there last week for the Cena feud. So they ain't even trying at all. And then something else that didn't even make sense. You had R-Truth beating Bo Dallas. The biggest jobber on the roster, without a doubt. R-Truth, the guy who hasn't won a match in fucking 3 years, for God's sakes. Another guy who was once, high up. They had him in a main event with Cena at one point. Now he's here. And then, they have Bo Dallas, who's constantly, winning. He's building a bit of integrity. He hasn't lost He's undefeated. He wrestled like 15 matches so far and hasn't been beat. You know, it hasn't been entertaining, but at least he has some credibility, I suppose, because he's always winning. And then who do they decide to break his streak? R-Truth. This confused the fuck out of me. I was standing there and I'm like, how? What? Huh? It didn't make any sense at all. Once again, I keep on saying this throughout the show. No sense whatsoever. It made no sense. As I said, you know, this makes no sense. This is like putting salt on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Why would you do it? You know, this makes no sense. It's like pouring mayonnaise over pasta. And, you know, you don't do it. It makes no sense. Why? R-Truth, no one's getting behind this guy. No one's asking for him to get pushed. So what do? They have a guy like R-Truth beat Bo Dallas. I thought they were gonna do something with him, and they just fuck it up like that in one night. You know, Bo Dallas beats him down after the match. I guess this is a way, once again, of getting their heat back, because it looked like they couldn't commit to the idea. They always seem like they do this. Whenever they have someone beat someone else, they can't totally commit to it. So they have to have the other guy then beat the shit out of them after the match, just in case they realize they might have made a mistake. They did the same thing with Kofi and Cesaro, and they're doing the same thing here. It makes no sense. The guy has momentum. Break that momentum like instantaneously. Then you had Swagger and Rusev in a little segment. Once again, Lana and Zeb Coulter were doing most of the talking here, doing all the talking pretty much. And I know I said that I enjoyed like the last two segments with them, but this time I was bored to tears. I am getting sick of this whole, USA versus Russia thing. Just getting tiresome. And Zeb Coulter's promo, and I usually love Zeb Coulter's promos, was very fucking cheesy. Saying that America is all about pickup trucks, pretty girls, and, watching football. Zeb Coulter fucked up one of his lines because it sounded so heavily scripted. It was fucking pathetic. I wanted to throw up during this segment. This is the best they can do to promote the USA. It made us sound like fucking morons. Fucking retarded. Here's the guy supposed to be defending the US and he's making us look like retards, basically. Like this is all we're about. Just sports, drinking beer, and ogling at attractive women. This is all we're represented as. Thanks a lot, Seth. Much appreciated, pal. Oh, man. Like I said, I wanted to fucking vomit during this segment. It's bad enough the show is bad, but then you get a promo like this, and it just completely just makes you sick. So the nausea turns to vomit, basically. And, I was complaining last week that they weren't continuing this feud. Now they continue it, and then it turns to shit. Go figure. They can't do anything right in this company. Then you had Damien Sandow coming out in an astronaut's outfit for some fucking reason. What the hell is this show becoming? I've already read this. For the people who watch my reviews and don't watch the show, and there's a couple of my subs who do this, aren't you just so thankful that you don't have to sit through this, for God's sakes? The man comes out in an astronaut's outfit, and for what reason? What was the reason for this? I don't understand. Really, what was the point? They had Buzz Aldrin on Raw a couple of years back. That would have made sense maybe then. Even then, it would have been stupid as hell. But he comes out. Then Adam Rose comes out. And that right there just makes it worse. I don't even want to see that motherfucker. And then he comes out and he beats Sandow like in a match in like 30 seconds, not even. And I stand here and I am like, what the fuck is going on here? Astronauts. Whoa, 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 whoa. Like, enough already. I am sick to death of this freak show of a show. It's not even a wrestling program. It's just a lot of random shit going on. It makes no fucking sense. I seriously think, you've heard the expression. I think this is how it is. They basically put up a whole bunch of fucking random ideas, paste them on the wall in the creative room in WWE, wherever they're the room where they hold their meetings. What do you want to do on Raw tonight, guys? And basically someone takes a giant shit right there in the middle of the room. Someone picks up the shit, throws it at the ceiling fan, and the shit goes everywhere. And wherever that shit lands on those ideas that are posted, I guess on index cards, let's say, those are the ideas they use. Because it makes no sense how they do this show. It's just random ideas. Sandow dressing up as an astronaut. Adam Rose coming out and beating him in a little squash match for whatever reason at all. What was this? Dressing up in costumes. How long are they going to keep this up with Sandow? What the fuck did the man do to deserve this type of treatment? And if he did do something wrong, what does he have to spend his whole career doing this costume shtick? It's not funny. It was maybe funny the first time. He started it with Magneto. That was funny. It made a little bit of sense because of Hugh Jackman there. And, that's about it. Now they've really completely blown this shit out of proportion. And I'm just left there week after week face palming and just fucking hating my life as a wrestling fan. And then it was Roman Reigns coming out to have the match with Kane. And Randy Orton beats the shit out of Roman Reigns. He throws him on the announce table, goes for an RKO, and the announce table doesn't break. Randy Orton in the announce table. Now, everyone who's been subbed to this channel for a while knows how I feel about Randy Orton. And let me tell you something, this ain't the first time this has happened to Orton. How many times is he gonna botch this spot, for God fucking sakes? For God's sakes. How many times have we seen Orton deliver the RKO on the table and it doesn't break? This is getting beyond tiresome. I mean, how many times is he going to deliver that move and fuck it up where he doesn't do enough impact to break the fucking table? Even the table doesn't like Randy Orton. This is what's pathetic about it. He's hitting the table doesn't break. Stop doing this spot. He does it a second time, it breaks. But, once you fuck it up the first time, it's been said time and time again. Everyone has, written this on the internet. When a wrestler botches a move, don't go back and do the same move again. It looks cheap, dumb, and very obvious that it was a fuck-up to do a redo. This is not, the way how you do things. It's happened too many times. They keep telling him to do the spot. And every single time he tries to do it, he fucks it up. Why do they keep telling Orton to go out there and doing this spot? For God's sakes. The fucking table hates you, Orton. For God's sakes, I hate you. And any wrestling fan with a brain hates you. And I'm happy that the match didn't take place between Roman Reigns and Kane. But this beatdown was boring as shit. Tell me that it wasn't. What was exciting about this? It was probably the lamest beatdown of all time. And then the big epic moment. He's trying to be all psycho and talking to it. Oh, I'm going to get you, Reigns. You messed up my title shot. And then he goes for the RKO. This is like if, like in a movie, like someone's about to shoot somebody and they're saying this whole monologue, and then the bullet misses. You know, it's like, it's pathetic looking. Like a complete fucking botch right in the middle of a supposedly tense moment. I'm just like, come on already here. This is moronic. They put so much stock in Orton as being the best of all time when it's just, it's completely unrealistic at this point to even remotely think that. The man botches. He is boring. He can't even fucking do a beatdown in an entertaining fashion, for God's sakes. Randy Orton is a piece of garbage. And, you know, people have demanded more Orton rants. Well, there you go. There's your Orton rant. You know, it's been long overdue. And I'll tell you something. Roman Reigns and Randy Orton at SummerSlam. That there's going to be a boring fucking match, and you all know it. You know, you have the two guys that everyone in the YWC is in love with. They think they're both sexy, for God's sakes. Well, now you get to see your male porn right there. You know, Cena and Roman Reigns, people were really loving that one. Oh, you were loving that. Well, now you get something even better. That was just to whet your appetite with Cena. Now you got Orton and Reigns. Now you get to see two sexy, sweaty, muscular men going at it. Aren't you excited? I know this is probably the most exciting match on the card. You know you're looking forward to it, and now you're finally going to get it. For normal people like me, we're going to be bored out of our minds, but you guys can enjoy that bullshit. Then you had Diego defeating Fandango, and this was just completely worthless. You know, it gave an excuse for Layla and Summer Rae to come out in, you know, matador outfits, and I guess they looked okay in them, but, you know, for the most part, what a shit-tacular match. You know, like wasting everyone's time. Like, what's supposed to be entertaining about a match like this? You know, this is just a guy from a tag team. His partner's injured. They're trying to throw him out there. No one likes him. No one finds him entertaining. And yet they continue on with it. Give me a break. This shit is just completely pointless. And then you have Naomi and Natalya defeating Cameron and Alicia Fox. And as you could kind of see, these matches, I don't know who even books this shit. Another boring ass match. This match looked like it was moving in fucking slow motion half the time. The timing completely off on this one. You had like Alicia Fox hitting a scissors kick. Naomi is on the ground. Alicia covers her, and then they claim Naomi kicked out, but it looked like really obvious that Alicia Fox just got up or she picked her up. I didn't see no fucking kick out. And this match was just a mess, for God's sakes. Then you had Jericho and Seth Rollins. And this was another match that it wasn't bad, but it seemed kind of slow, like it was moving in slow motion half the time. To get into position, Jericho, this was not Rollins' fault, but I see a Jericho. Jericho looks extremely old in the ring. And this is what was very, very, very obvious during the Bray Wyatt match in Battleground. Jericho is an old motherfucker, and he is slowed down considerably. Can we now get this out of the way? Many people seem like they can admit it about RVD, so why can't they admit it about Jericho? He's old, he's slow, he was once great. The man might be a legend, but let's admit it already. Jericho is slowed down, not considerably, but a lot. And I really don't understand why people are so crazy about Jericho being back. He's come back, and yeah, they have used him, but in a very boring fashion. Bray Wyatt interferes in this match, just making it feel even more cheap. Dean Ambrose was nowhere to be found at all during this show, so Rollins being there made it even more pointless, because Rollins has a feud with Ambrose, And this is supposed to take place at SummerSlam, and he ain't even there. He ain't even there to promote the feud. Then they wrap things up with Stephanie McMahon and Brie Bella. And this is, Stephanie's begging Brie to drop the charges. And Brie says that she wants a match at SummerSlam. And she demands that it be against Stephanie McMahon. This whole segment was extremely boring. I couldn't even focus on it half the time, much like the whole show for that matter. I just could not focus on the screen. I mean, this show was really fucking putting me to sleep big time. Very, very boring. Whole segment. It got better at the end though. Stephanie pretended like she was crying, and then she just slaps her and says, "I'm gonna make you my bitch." And right there, that made me crack up hysterically. I thought that right there was awesome. That was what was missing from this whole show. Fucking just dedication. Right there, Stephanie showed interest in what she was doing. Nobody else on this show showed any interest in what they were doing. Stephanie McMahon made me laugh at the end, though. But, is this going to be their big match at SummerSlam? Brie Bella, not even a popular women's wrestler. No one even knew who the fuck she was before Daniel Bryan married her. No one cared about her. They're chanting yes and everything, but that's for her husband. It's only because she's connected with Bryan. It's not because people like her. It's because people want Bryan back, for God's sakes. No one wants to see these two in a match. And, once again, the whole crowd is chanting, "This is awesome." And once again, I'm feeling sick to my stomach at the end of Raw. This was a horrible ass show. I hated almost every single minute of it. I enjoyed the first match, but everything else was completely fucking worthless to me. They have their second biggest show of the year coming up, and the guy who's in the main event ain't even there. And you have Cena talking about how he shows up to work on time, and I just about had it with this fucking company. Not even trying. Their second biggest show of the year, and they don't even give a fuck. It was their idea to put the show on the network. It wasn't mine. It wasn't yours. And now they're not giving a fuck because they don't have enough subscribers. So now they're, I don't know, trying to commit suicide. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're just goofing around, basically. They had a bunch of filler on the show that didn't make any sense. I don't know. I don't even have an explanation for why the fuck they'd even pull some shit like this. Alright, motherfuckers. Show is horrible. No entertainment at all. One good match and 2.5 other hours of fucking nonsense. Alright.